It's your open source advocate, and I'm back to tell you guys about a mistake I made. So I came in this morning and did my normal thing, started up my computer, started up my browser, and I found this little gem on my dashboard that somebody got on and made for me. And it's because I had exposed my URLs to you guys during a video, and I've recently been migrating all of my services off of the extremely loud, extremely power hungry Dell PowerEdge stuff that I had it running on, and I've been moving it to lighter weight hardware that still does the job fine. And Dashy was one of those things that I moved, and Nginx Proxy Manager was one of the things that I moved. And instead of really moving Nginx Proxy Manager, I actually just reset it up and started resetting stuff because I had a bunch of old proxy hosts in there that I didn't want to use anymore. I just want to kind of start clean. The problem with that was I set a bunch of these things to the same URL they've always had, including my Dashy dashboard. So I do have a public-facing URL that I use for it. And on my previous setup, I had Nginx Proxy Manager set up with an access control list, and I had it where you had to enter credentials to get to my Dashy dashboard. When I moved everything and reset it up, I forgot to go back and set that for things like Dashy that didn't have their own authentication system. Because I want to access my stuff from outside of my network, I do have things just running on a URL, and I use Nginx Proxy Manager to control that. So, you know, it's funny. I'm embarrassed because I should have known better and I should have double checked things. But I appreciate, one, the person who did this. Thank you for doing this and not just destroying my entire configuration. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Two, you know, this is the kind of thing that can happen when you start doing home lab stuff. So please, when you're starting out, especially if you want to expose things to the internet, understand that if you have something exposed through a URL, you need to make sure that it's protected somehow, that it's got some kind of authentication around it. So a lot of my stuff I'm moving to Authentic. Dashy I haven't moved yet, but I want to. Authentic has a really cool feature where you can actually set up Authentic to pass through to the basic auth that you would get from something like Dashy. So if I go to it now, I've set it up because I wanted to protect it. So if I go to this URL now, it's going to prompt me, and this is not the correct information anymore. I created new information with my password stuff with Vault in there, but it's going to prompt me, and I'm going to have to fill this in to get to my dashboard now through the URL. When I'm inside my network, I just go through the IP address, which is private and local. But make sure that as you're setting these things up, that you're checking and trying to make sure that everything that you're using either is only on your local area network, or if you're going to make it accessible from the outside world, there's several ways that you can secure things. One, you can set up so that you connect through a VPN, and then when you connect to your publicly hosted stuff with something like Nginx Proxy Manager, you can tell it, hey, I want to set up some access control lists, and I want to set up some rules. So you can go here and you can say, like, how do I want this to work? You put in the name of the rule, and then you can say satisfy any, or, you know, it has to pass off to the host. You've got those options, but then you can also say, how do I want this to work? Username, password, or does it need to be an address? So it means allow this IP address. So if I'm coming in through a VPN that I'm hosting on DigitalOcean, for instance, I have to connect to that VPN. And then when I try to access Dashy, it's going to check, am I coming from that public IP address that I have set up on DigitalOcean? And if so, it's going to say, hey, that's cool, you can go on through. The other way is to set up credentials like I've done, and then you can log in using that basic auth through Nginx Proxy Manager, which will then forward you on once you've shown that you should be the one accessing that service. Authentic has a really, like I said, has a really cool feature where you can actually use Authentic to pass through to that basic auth system. I kind of like it. It's pretty nice. And again, it keeps you kind of set up with that single sign-on type stuff. I really like that too. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, that as you're resetting things up, go through, make sure that your services are all set up and that the ones that you're accessing through a public URL are actually set up to have some kind of authentication method in front of them, so that even if somebody does access something that you're hosting, they can't just get in and change your configuration like they did in this instance. So this person was super, super kind. By putting this here, they made it something that I would absolutely notice. I mean, it took me no time to look at that and go, holy cow, that is not something I made. What happened here? And yeah, when I saw the message here as I hovered over it, I was like, oh no. So they were even kind enough to link me to the video and to the timestamp where I exposed my addresses, which I do that all the time, guys. And it's because, one, I trust You guys, I know I shouldn't trust the internet, but I also try to be as secure as I can with these things. I try to put some security around them. I just, in this case, 100% beefed it when I reset up my Nginx proxy manager and did not set up that access control list that I should have. So again, thank you to the person who did this and who was kind enough to just add a little option here to my system. But also for you guys, this is a really good reminder, like check all of your stuff. Make sure that there is some kind of authentication around your services that you're running, especially out of your home. You don't want to give people easy access to your network or to your services or anything else. You want to protect yourself as much as possible. I hope you enjoyed this. I know I got a kick out of it, but if you did, if you think it's valuable, which you should, I hope you do, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along on the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.